good morning. Welcome to Who Says What on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. This is a segment of the Front Page Review. We'll be checking out who said what, in the news all through yesterday. Okay, some of the big trending stories. We'll find out just what exactly is going on. Now, first things first, my name is Gesere.
And of course, I am Simeon Sunday. Welcome to the show.
All right, so we'll be checking out a couple of stories. This one here, the minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, was seen making a statement, in a church. Just what exactly he said in that statement, you would really, really, really do well to find out. Just give me a moment. I will play it shortly.
Forces we have, I don't know if anybody who will challenge us. I don't know if anybody will challenge us. It's like tomorrow is 2027. In fact, tomorrow is 2027. So I want to say, we just rest. For me, it seems very far. I can't wait. Where can you find that unity? Which state? It's only in Rivers. I can find that unity. That's what most people don't like. When they see people are united, working together, they find something happening.
All right, that was Wike talking about the fact that this administration has been doing so well that he doesn't think that there would be an opposition for them, going into the next election cycle. And some people, the reactions have been crazy, Simeon. Some people have been
I'll just allow you read some of the comments.
This one says only 50 naira. No matter the money you think you have, you cannot even predict 2 seconds of your life. This one here says who they clap never see food chop. Continue. Those people clapping and cheering for rubbish, who knows tomorrow? Now the problem of Nigeria is not the person talking with the microphone, but the people clapping. The people clapping are the real problem. Well,
when I heard saw this video of Nyesom Wike actually saying that at the moment they do not even know who can challenge them when it comes to next election cycle, which is 2027. At the end of the day, the yam is in the hands of Nigerians. The knife is also in the hands of Nigerians. You can cut the yam as you please. You look at this administration, and of course you do an evaluation of their few months in office and probably their 4 years in office when they completed their tenure.
All right, another story here is, there's been a bout of protests going on in Nigeria, and Ibadan also, some youths in Ibadan also followed the trend, and they tagged it Tinubu must go. Ibadan protesters vent their frustration. Let's listen to them.
If President Tinubu can no longer manage, direct, any other words that can be used for this country, he should resign honorably. We want capable heads who can pilot the affairs of our country to a greater height. We want a situation whereby a son of nobody will become somebody without knowing anybody. It is our time. It is our time. Nigeria must be great.
All right, so that was the reaction in Oyo State, where residents of Ibadan tripped out in large numbers to stage a protest against the current economic hardship. Simeon, do you remember last year we had, not last year now, during the previous administration, we had protesters saying the president must go at the time. That was President Muhammadu Buhari.
Yeah, the truth is, whether we like it or not, Nigerians are going through, a lot at the moment. But let's be critical. this administration was sworn into office, on Independent Democracy Day. That is in May 2023. And of course, in about a month from now, in about 3 months from now, they should be 1 year in office. Let's still give the president, some time. The truth is, if we as Nigerians could open our eyes and give Buhari 8 years in office, I don't see why 1 year Nigerians should be clamoring for the removal or the resignation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And of course, I don't want to bring ethnic sides to all of this, but let's look at it. We've seen that the protest is even heavy in the southwestern part of the country. The question we are asking is, why were they not protesting when Buhari was in Nigeria, was the president of the country, and Nigerians are going through so much hardship and so much turmoil? And of course, we've seen little or no protests we saw protests in Niger State, we saw protests in Kano State. Yes, my question is, if it was Buhari, would they have protested? So I don't want to bring ethnic coloration to this, but somehow there's still a part of it that Nigerians are not looking keenly into. But President Tinubu is just 9 months in office. Let's give him more time. You and I, we used our eyes. We saw Shege for 4 years, and we still went to the poll again to vote Buhari in for another 4 years, 8 years. Let's allow at least Tinubu finish his 4 years in office, then we can access his administration.
Okay, we also have Femi Falana telling the federal government that let Nigeria join the BRICS nations. BRICS comprising of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These are countries who, have certain emerging markets, right? So we had Femi Falana telling, the federal government to reject the prescriptions of the IMF and the World Bank and join the BRICS nations.
The right thing to do is to reject the prescriptions of the IMF and the World Bank. Remove fuel subsidy, float your currency, and so on and so forth, which have never assisted any country to develop. Secondly, the government is dancing around the problems. These circulars by the central bank will not address the crisis in the forex market. Two issues that are not being addressed is that there is a group of countries, there are countries in the world today insisting that we are not going to be tied to the American dollars. We want to trade among ourselves in our currencies. And those countries are in BRICS. Brazil, India, Russia, China, and South Africa. Others are joining them.
All right, this is looking at our currency and the challenges that we're facing with the forex market, the dollar, even the pound, the Great British pound. We saw that it exchanged at 2,000 naira to 1 Great British pound at that point in time. So Femi Falana is saying we should join the countries that are looking to boycott the dollar and trade directly with their own currencies instead of, if you're trading internationally, you have to use the dollar. That's the generally accepted currency, but now they're saying they want to boycott that and use their own currencies as well. Well, that's pretty much what we have for you on Who Says What right here on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. Of course, Simeon,
the truth is we'll be back at 7:30. It's almost 7:30 where we'll get to reach out to Rufai Oseni. But let me touch on the statement of Femi Falana. It's a good one. He recommended that we should consider joining BRICS. Let's not even trade in dollar anymore. I remember part of the reason Muammar Gaddafi was killed is because of some of the recommendations he brought in. He wanted to shut out Africa from the rest of the world. He wanted Africa to trade with gold. We have a lot of gold reserves. So why are we not using it? Why are we solely dependent on the American dollar? Some of the recommendations, if you listen to the entire interview, and some of the recommendations he made as something we as Nigerians need to consider, and the federal government also needs to look keenly into.
All right, coming up next is the front page review. We're joined by Rufai Oseni, and definitely at 8 o'clock on the dot, we'll be joined by Mr. Larry Oguego. So make sure that you're keeping it locked right here. Don't even go anywhere.
It's thrilling, controversial, heated, thought-provoking. Catch Rufai Oseni.
Came here to misrepresent the facts today as regards subsidy removal.
Kesire Aqua.
Report was that $9 billion is lost yearly to illegal mining.
And Simeon Sunday.
If you know something of this nature is happening within your community, why didn't you raise an alarm?
On the Front Page Review, weekdays at 7:15 a.m. Now you have a voice.
I'm coming in hot.
Now, you can enjoy the original taste of premium American Romeo's Pizza. Juicy, just the way you like it. To order online from Guarimpa, call 090-8831-5908. Gariki 090-8831-5906. And Lupe 090-9238-9861. Romeo's Pizza, the pizza champions.
Coming in hot, just like the
VOP 96.1 FM.
It is 7:30 on the clock right here on Voice of the People 96.1. Time for us to get straight to Front Page Review. And of course, we have El-Rufai Oseni right here. Good morning to you.
Bless you guys. Crazy rain.
I know, great to have
you. In Lagos, but it's fine.
Crazy rain? Hello?
Hello? Mr. Rufai?
Hello, good morning. Can you hear us?
I can hear you guys, but it's raining like hell in Lagos this morning.
It's raining like rain, no Ojo.
Yeah. It's raining like hell.
Wow.
We could use some of that here in
You know,
Abuja.
the truth is, Lagos is always different. I don't know why Lagos is always different from every part of Nigeria. That's because Lagosians are very unique people, though. Okay, let's get straight to the headline this morning. And of course, let's start with the lead story on the Point newspaper, where it says Labour mobilises for protest. Tanker drivers strike triggers full queues across the country. And of course, we know that Labour, the organised Labour on Monday, began mobilising some of its members for the nationwide protest, which is slated for February 27 and 28 of 2024. That is in about a week's time from today. And of course, we've learned that there are fuel queues building up across several areas in Lagos and also here in Abuja. What is the situation in Lagos like?
I mean, the queues, most parts of the island, some parts of Lagos, but some filling stations are selling, and there's this back and forth. I think NATO had been able to talk to government, and they're able to get a resolution for the problem. But as regards the strike by Labour, it's just about the economic general malaise. Things are very tough for a lot of people in Nigeria as we speak today. The economy is at an all-time low, food inflation everywhere, prices are going up, the forex situation is not any better. So with all of these challenges, I mean, Labour needs to air their voice, but it's just incumbent on the government to be able to listen and provide fast solutions. But that's one thing I don't see on the part of government. They're not providing the good solutions. They're not even acting the way we want them to act. I mean, how can the CBN just allow a currency to be sliding like that? How can it just allow a currency to be sliding like that? Between January to now, currency has lost over 50% of its value. All right, it's been a massive devaluation of the currency. So how can you just allow that to continue at the expense of people suffering in the country?
Mr. Rufai, the quick question some people are asking at the moment is it that CBN should be solely blamed or responsible for, the policy we saw the president announce, which is the flotation of the naira? The question is, who recommended that in the first place, the presidency or the CBN?
The president made a decision after not effectively thinking through the implications, going the path of neoclassical liberalist economists, which I always have problems with. Because the problem with neoclassical economists is they think they know
Hello.
everything.
Hello.
You hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can
we
hear
can hear
you
you
now.
now.
Mr. Rufai. All right, I'll try to contact him via another platform. But what we're seeing right now is a state of protests occurring in different places due to the economic hardships. And then we're looking at floating the Naira and just what that would look like for our economy. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it doing us better? Should we continue with it, or should we revisit and maybe choose? Sometimes you need to tweak this here and there.
So, like I was saying,
yes, go ahead.
Be it mercantilism, be it cronyism, there's always an origin hand in every market. So you expecting the market all the time to calibrate itself, it's an exercise in delusion. That's the problem I have with your classical economists. It's a very big exercise in delusion. Because even with the countries with the biggest markets in the world, they have their own challenges. The market is not as you want it to be all the time. The market is erratic sometimes. You have a bull run and you have a bearish run in the market. So when you look at all of these factors, look at Britain in 1992 when they left ERM and see what happened to the economy. In a day, the British government had to use close to £14 billion to defend the pound sterling. But it didn't still go through. And that's why these guys that were fighting against the pound sterling, they made a lot of money to Soros. That's the story a lot of forex traders claim, and they say, oh, you can make X, Y, Z in a day. But they won't tell you the full story. But you have to be able to employ movement. And what has always worked in this country has always been a mix of Kenyatta theory and some other, economic fixes based on empirical scenario-based planning. And that's one thing we don't do in this country. There's no scenario-based planning. I remember when we started the conversation on removal of subsidies, I asked a question. I said, what is the empirical value that crude oil price will amount to remove subsidies? Nobody could answer that question. Now, what is the attendant effect? Nobody will answer the question. Okay? Well, 2012, there were going to be hunger, poverty, and chaos. So I'm sure he wrote those articles, but he didn't know the importance of the thing he wrote there. So these are the things we need to look at strongly. Because if we don't look at it strongly, we go and miss in our society and we destroy society, just like we have done today. Look at the poverty, look at the hunger, look at the squalor, look at the pain people are facing.
Okay, and based off your recommendation and what you've said so far, recently Femi Falana made key statements, and of course part of his statement is that we should jettison some of the recommendations of the IMF because it has not helped any country so far. What do you think about that? And which is part of the removal of subsidy?
IMF cannot continue with these neoclassical bullet pills and expect everybody to take them and it works for them. It doesn't work for anybody. We all know the Latin American countries IMF destroyed with these bullet pills. We all know. So there are many economies that are different. And what works for them is different on a different basis. So let IMF stop this is neoclassical mumbo jumbo. It's not a one-size-fits-all to economic theory. It's about what will work based on the empiricals at the point in time. It's not today Nigeria has always floated. Nigeria, when Buhari just came, Nigeria floated the currency. But when they saw that it didn't work, they put it in reverse. That was the time that the dollar went up to 500 naira. And Nigeria had to go to the Eurobond market to get some more money to defend the currency. So you need to know what works. Let's stop all this IMF mumbo jumbo. Why are we not using our brains? Didn't you see the video going by that MK Abdullah said the same thing over 30 years ago? Huh?
Yes.
Today now, Tinubu has made Buhari look like a hero. And if Buhari managed the forex situation way better than he is doing today. Buhari said we'll miss him when he's gone. Today we are missing Buhari. Sad stuff, but it's true. With all the how low Buhari was in terms of leadership, we are missing Buhari compared to Tinubu.
But truly,
today, don't you look forward to the days where dollar now is about 700?
All right, Mr. Rufai, while we're still talking about the Naira and, the state of the economy with it, let's look at this issue of BRICS, right? Something Femi Falana said that caught my attention. He talked about the fact that Nigeria could join the BRICS nations at this point in time. We know that their own purpose is, to boycott the Western, economy and all that. What would that look like for Nigeria, and what would that look like for Forex?
I don't subscribe to that argument that Nigeria joining the BRIC, and does the BRIC even want us? Because you're at the point in time where there are a lot of skirmishes in the world. There's something going on called the Thucydides trap. Thucydides was a Greek philosopher that wrote a lot about the Peloponnesian Wars. And Thucydides talks about the fact that when two nations are fighting for dominance or supremacy, other nations can be suffering something called a Thucydides trap. And that's where America and China is. So China is BRIC. You must keep a non-aligned position. And Nigeria has always been non-aligned. China has its Belt and Road Initiative, but do you really want to do that at the expense of your trade and partnership and regional partnership with America? You must also have to be careful. Do you also want to do that based on with the Russians? I think it's better to keep a non-aligned position, even with trade positioning. What Nigeria should be able to do is look at the possibility of bolstering ECOWAS and look at what we can do as regards trade and all of that. I mean, you don't want to make policies that will hurt both parts at this point in time. Look at when we tried shifting towards the yuan. Look at the reaction by America concerning it. And don't deceive yourself. Most of the world's deposits is still in dollars. That's why dollars is still a recognized currency. The dynamics of the world economy changed after the Second World War. Hence, we have something called the Bretton Woods Conference, where the victors of the war pretty much chart the course of the economic structure of the world. And when you had the likes of the Americans leading, in those conversations in Bretton Woods, there was John Maynard Keynes of Britain, the famous British economist, but there was also, the Secretary of Finance in America that led most of the conversations. And America dictated the pace of the world economy because it was largely victors after the Second World War. And that has always been the way world economy is passing. So you don't want to bring in that crane at this point. So that's why you have to be careful in thinking. And also understand geopolitical implications. America has had a long war, albeit proxy war in Ukraine with the Russians. It's time for a lot of internal bolstering. So you don't want to just jump out. I don't subscribe to that one.
Okay. Quickly, let's leave the chain operators and the EFCC. I don't know if you came across that video. And of course, I even saw, an excerpt of the story on the official EFCC website where they announced that, they arranged some bureau de change operators. Now, looking at it, we know the CBN, even some agencies of government are doing all they can to ensure that the Naira stabilizes against the dollar. This move by the EFCC, will it even change anything at all?
The last time they raided bureau de change operators, they didn't change anything. These are just knee-jerk reactions. I mean, these are hypocritical moves. Pretty much replica of the time some people say Aboki effect was the problem. It doesn't change anything. All you need to do is to look for fundamentals that you can solve the problem. Pure and simple. And increase production output. One. Secondly, look for buffers at this point in time. If it's able to get cash, be able to pump into the currency market. 3. Restore confidence. And 4. Have a long line of trying to change the legacy problems which we have, where people, have too much reserves in the dollar in the country. So if you can fix all of that, those are the real solutions. But not going to fight a bureau de change operator that probably doesn't change up to 5 or 10.
But according to what EFCC did put out on the official website as at yesterday, Monday, they actually said some of them were arraigned for fraud to the tune of over 990 billion naira. That's almost a trillion naira.
I mean, EFCC should prove it. I mean, I've learned something. When EFCC come with their bombastic claims at times, see through it. I'm not saying it might not be true, but let them prosecute them in court first. It's not government according to headline by EFCC. We all know how they do it now. It means the EFCC that connive with the media boys. A lot of media boys on the payroll of the EFCC now.
Are you saying that for sure because you have, the fact to prove that?
I'm telling you what applies. It's everywhere now. There are a lot of media boys hanging around, even on the payroll of DSS and all of that. You think these agencies don't have media? They don't solicit media. They don't have PR mechanisms. They do now.
Okay.
So once they leak this, what's it called? Once they leak this information to these media people, they help them amplify it now. In fact, when you go to EFCC office, you see the media people loitering around. How do you think pictures leak out of EFCC offices and things like that? Is it not the people within that share with these media people? Don't they have symbiotic relationship? Don't they have symbiotic relationship? So when people come and do their media trials, we need to be able to dig through the facts and see that this tangible for prosecution is when they get a prosecution. I will do because they don't go through the rigmarole of the court process. So let's forget all this trial by media and everything.
Okay.
All right.
It's necessary I make clarification. Sorry, it was 998 million, not billion. I beg your pardon.
Yes. All right.
So your number there was bombastic. That's what I was thinking about when I heard 998.
It's million, not billion. My error.
Mr. Rufai, this particular story is really interesting because we're seeing Aso Villa, the DHQ, we're seeing CBN as well. They're set to face disconnection over debt. 47 billion naira worth of electricity that has been provided to some of these individuals. You're looking at the presidential villa owing the discos to the tune of 923 million naira. You're seeing the NSA owing 95 billion. We're seeing the Ministry of the FCT owes the sum of 7 billion. Ministry of Power is indebted to the tune of 78 million naira. Now, AEDC said it would be constrained to list the names of the MDAs and go after them, and they've threatened to disconnect the MDAs in 10 days should they fail to pay their debts. Now, Mr. Rufai,
I think they should not even wait for 10 days. I think they should disconnect them immediately.
Do you want our Aso Villa to be in darkness, Rufai?
I don't
haven't
care
we
if
all
an Aso
been
Villa can't.
in darkness?
If an Aso Villa can't pay its bills, then it should be disconnected. Maybe they have generator or they have solar. They will use it now. If you can't pay your bills, disconnect it. Because do you know how much is being voted for these places? An electricity bill is part of also the road. And if there's no light again, they should all off their light and leave. So be a cost and allowance. So, and I'm even at sea as regards why they have not paid for it. I'm at sea as regards why they have not paid. If it's in your cost and allowance, you need to be able to pay your debt once and for all.
Could it be a situation where someone has used the money that was supposed to be for electricity to do something else, and then
I don't care. Like someone uses it to do something else. The first question is, do they have basic? Yes, pay. It's not simple. Let's not condone rubbish. I don't care. Like the person use the money for anything else, that's their own problem. But you owe AEDC because you forget that AEDC is a going concern. It's a company. It needs to pay its own bills. It needs to run. It needs to get its own management running. It needs money. And you're tying down the money. In fact, those money, if not, they should even pay with interest because you are making them lose their time value of money. So you forget that this is a going concern. So is it because the government parastatal you are trying to make which yes? They should go and pay their business. I want it.
It's hard. Did you just say that?
What did you say?
I said, did you just, the last statement you made, did you just say that in Yoruba?
Yes, ma. So Jack Bessie ni. What Jack Bessie now? There's a lot of Bessie. I want it Bessie.
All right, Mr. Rufai, since we're talking about the budget and all that, there's this forex crisis. What exactly is it going to mean for the budget? Because we know that some of the monies that are supposed to be in the budget are projected revenue that we're supposed to get from the sale of oil and all of that. But now that we're seeing our currency dancing the way it is, even the Great British Pound exchanged at 2,000 naira to $1 as of yesterday. So what exactly would that look like for our 2024 budget?
I mean, at first, when you said Great British Pound, I was thinking about there's nothing great about Britain any longer. Forget all of those colonial movements they sell to us. So what is the problem is that our currency is going down. And the CBN is not putting in mechanism in place to be able to fight the slide of our currency, which I think they should be able to defend. But they are not defending because they don't have the fundamentals. You need money to be able to defend the currency, which I have been able to state effectively at the start. Secondly, And for those that still support them and their media cronies and all of that, and government agents and everything, I think even if you are going to support what is going on, have a better argument. Because if you don't bring a good argument to the table, you look stupid. You look stupid. CBN doesn't just have fundamentals. It's doing about what we are speaking today. Pure and simple.
All right, you're looking at an exchange rate when they were creating the budget of 800 naira to a dollar, and it's moved up by at least 50%. I don't know how we're going to be able to afford some of the things that we've put down in the budget. Consequently, the naira value has gone up by.
So that's not a big problem. People can have amend here and there. People can also have what's it called, a complementary budget. There's a particular name they call it. The supplementary budget.
Supplementary budget, yeah.
So I mean, it's no big deal. I gotta go.
Okay.
Okay,
thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. El-Rufai, for joining us. Let's not forget that we're live on YouTube. It is at Voice of the People Abuja. Voice of the People Abuja. Join us on YouTube, Voice of the People Abuja. And if you love to join the conversation as well, do well to call 0700 010 961 961. I'll take that again, 0700 010 961 961. That's the number to call or send a WhatsApp message to join the conversation. All right, do well to call us, and then try as much as you can to leave us comments on the YouTube when you join in. Leave us comments as well on the YouTube so we know that you're listening.
And of course, let's quickly go pay some bills. When we come back, we get back to our conversation, and of course, reach out to Larry Ogwegu, who is currently on standby.
You can take the boy out of radio, but you can't take the radio out of the boy, can you?
Broadcasting in high definition.
Voice of the People, 96.1 FM.
Are you traveling to Lagos and desire a perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, number 42 Murtala Mohammed International Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in our beautiful appointed rooms, featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Now, whether you are traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your every need is met. We also offer complimentary pick-up and drop from the Lagos airport.
Why not take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant?
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So why wait? Book your stay today and experience the ultimate in comfort and luxury at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel.
For bookings and reservations, please call 0815-8003-333 or 0815-7003-333. You can visit our website at airportgoldentuliphotel.com.
Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, where luxury meets comfort.
Believe me.
Are you aware that Iruka Online Limited installed and designed a 100,000 capacity church building? Oh yeah, we are the sole distributors of global leading brands all over the world, such as Wafday Line Array, speakers and digital amplifiers, Preseno's digital mixers and studio equipment, Coswell workstations and keyboards, Fender guitars, Mapex drums, Ashdown bass combos, just to mention but a few. We offer flexible payment plan handled by our financial department with 24/7 customer care support system. You can visit our website on www.iruka.com to avoid buying fake products. You can also visit our showroom at number 36 Lagos International Airport Road beside Golden Tulip Hotel. Iruka, never settle for less.
It's thrilling, controversial, heated, thought-provoking. Catch Rufai Oseni.
Came here to misrepresent the facts today as regards subsidy removal.
Kesire Aqua.
Report was that $9 billion is lost yearly to illegal mining.
And Simeon Sunday.
If you know something of this nature is happening within your community, why didn't you raise an alarm?
On the Front Page Review, weekdays at 7:15 a.m. Now you have a voice.
You're welcome back. This is Voice of the People 96.1 FM, and of course this is still the Front Page Review. We're trying to connect with our guest, Mr. Larry, to join us via telephone so we can check out a couple of other headlines right here. There's still reports from insecurity, in Benue State. There's also electricity issues, looking at the meter prices and just how it affects us as Nigerians. But let's first of all focus on the protests that occurred in Ibadan. Good morning to you, Mr. Larry, and welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Jason. Good morning, Senior Sunday. What a day.
All right, the president is back in the country, but we're still seeing protests here and there in different parts. In Ibadan, we had some people protesting and calling for the president to leave the seat if he can't do the job. If he can't rise up to the occasion, he should leave the seat. We're seeing more and more protests, unfolding. And Labour also is set for their protest that is supposed to occur on the 27th and the 28th of February. What exactly is your take on this?
Yeah, that's why I said what a day. A lot of protests, queues appearing everywhere. People are just so frustrated. I mean, really frustrated by what's happening to them. And these protests are becoming more and more spontaneous. We witnessed I remember the anti-SAP riots in those days. But one of the things that happens, like I've always said, is when you don't have a safety valve in an industrial device and the pressure is too high, the device will just explode. And that's how it is with human beings. When you push them too hard and then there's no reprieve, there is no palliative, what will happen is that they just can't take it at some point, and then you see this kind of protest. These protests are not really organized, as in people sit down, plan like the labor protest. People just get so frustrated. They realize that they work so hard to get a job, but they can't find petrol to go to work. Sometimes they work so hard, borrow money to rent a shop to do business, and then there's no power. Neither is there petrol to even power the generator. They look around, all they see is just practically no hope. And then, rather than be idle and watch the politicians enjoy our common wealth and common heritage, they go to the streets. Maybe, since every other method of communicating with them has failed, maybe they will listen when we begin to agitate. And I must also remind the political elite that it can get worse if they don't listen. As it is now, people are saying, if you look at the Ibadan demonstrations, they were emphasizing that, we are not fighting anybody, we just want to register our anger. The truth is that as the anger increases, the decorum reduces. So they have to react now. That is what I mean. They have to respond, rather. The political elites must respond. People are really getting frustrated. And the sooner they douse the tension by giving us real solution, not platitudes, not words, not hope. People are tired of hoping. I mean, hope delayed maketh the heart sick. People are just way tired of hoping. So I think they need to begin to create real solutions. And one of the things the politicians must do, I keep saying this, is to change their body language, to change the perceptions we are getting as ordinary Nigerians, to also tell us that the pain is biting them. One of the things that makes us extremely frustrated is the fact that while we queue for fuel, We don't know how they get their own food. They don't even pay for it. While we queue for food and look for food, they get food free of charge. And so people are frustrated, knowing fully well that the guys that are asking us to be patient are not really patient. They get everything they need and even everything they want. But we don't get the things that we just need. So they must sit down and begin to think. Because when this thing happens, it won't really favor anybody. Somebody said a few days ago, and this is very important. Somebody said a few days ago that we are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. And I beg to disagree. We are sitting on several kegs of gunpowder, not one. They see, if we are sitting on only one keg of gunpowder, as long as we sit very carefully and manage the keg, maybe we'll defuse the keg of gunpowder. But when you are sitting on several kegs of gunpowder at the same time, we're sitting on the keg of youth unemployment, that's one. On the keg of insecurity, that's two. On the keg of the crazy slide in the Valley of Naira, that's another keg. We have so many kegs of gunpowder we are sitting on that you can't barely move. The truth is that any of the kegs of gunpowder can go off any moment without notice. And we need to be careful. The leaders especially need to sit down and begin to ask themselves, do they still want this country to exist? If they do, can they please begin to do something about the suffering of the people?
Mr. Larry, yesterday we saw the president's son, Sheikh Tinubu, talking about preaching endurance to Nigerians over the economic hardships, and he was dragged, of course. He had quoted the president last year's October 1st, message where he said, "There is no joy in seeing the people of this nation shoulder burdens that should have been shared years ago. I wish today's difficulties did not exist, but we must endure if we are to reach the good side of our future." And he declared that he stands with his father when his father made that statement, and he said that the present generation will yield the fruits of this hardship and all that. And a lot of people started dragging him based on the fact that, you're wearing a very expensive wristwatch, you shouldn't be speaking about endurance to Nigerians. Some people have spoken about the moral high ground of politicians telling Nigerians to endure. What moral standing do these guys have, to ask Nigerians to endure and sort of, beat the tide with this particular issue of economic hardship?
Jesse, I want to state clearly that a leader should be upfront in modeling the values that he or she preaches. Leadership is not just about talking, it's about walking the talk. Leadership is not just about telling us what to do, it's about doing the same thing you tell us to do. One of the simple things Nigerian politicians can do is to walk the talk. If they say we should be patient, let them be patient. I've said this 1,000 times. They're not listening. And Tinubu is not in a position at all to preach patience. He is not really in a position to have that conversation because he doesn't feel what we are feeling. So he's not wearing the same shoe we are wearing. He has always lived in luxury. And in any case, as it is now, this particular pain was inflicted on us by his father. And the father doesn't appear to be doing anything to alleviate the pain. And they are solving all of their own problems. Even when they don't have problems, they create problems and solve them. You want to use billions to renovate a house that is one of the finest houses in Africa for the vice president. You want to spend billions to do carports. You want to spend billions to provide for a library for the National Assembly. You just spend billions carelessly when it affects you. And very often, they're not spending the billions because there is a need. They're spending the billions because they want to have access to extra money to play with. And somebody is standing there and telling us that he stands with his father, that we should be patient. No, if they want us to be patient, they should demonstrate how to be patient in difficulty. They should discard all of the frivolous expenditure. They shouldn't be talking about the yacht. They shouldn't have been talking about brand new fleet of vehicles for First Lady and all of those things that don't really make sense to any right-thinking person. So he's not supposed to be preaching to us, supposed to be preaching to his father. That, why don't you just tone down the expenditure? Why don't you talk to members of the National Assembly so that they will be a little more prudent in how they spend money? Why don't you do this and that, so that the citizens will not say, oh, these guys are sincere, that we haven't seen it like this before. Why must they buy vehicles that are so expensive and a few weeks after you're telling us to be patient? How? These guys take us for granted. They assume that we are just dead, that we don't have the capacity to think. But then this time around, we are not only thinking, we are talking, and we are gradually refusing to be patient. So they should realize that the kind words are not going to work anymore. We are waiting to see how they respond to the difficulty that have inflicted on us. Instead, they're not even feeling the difficulty, and they're telling us a patient. Meanwhile, they don't want a patient. No, it's not going to work this time. And he doesn't have the moral standing to preach patience to us. No, not at this time.
Okay, quickly, let's touch on the recent development or the statistics released by the NBS. That's the National Bureau of Statistics. That's on the Guardian, where it says unemployment rate rose by 5% in Q3 of 2023. And talking about Nigeria's unemployment rate, we know that sometime last year the NBS brought a new employment measuring system, where they said that anyone who works less than 40 hours weekly is unemployed. This is a far cry from what we earlier used to have, where if you work less than 19 hours per week, you're unemployed. So by doing this, they've increased the number of people who are now employed. Now, MBS is saying our unemployment rate has risen by just 5%, in the Q3 of 2023. Looking at the figures released by the NBS, yes, I understand the statistics and the measurement system and the yardstick they use in measuring this, but is this the true reflection of the unemployment rate in the country?
No, of course it's not. I think we should start by clearly examining this new method. It's very deceptive. So if I work for just 2 hours a day, assuming I stumble on a job and somebody says I should wash a car for him and the person pays me 2K, then I just managed to stumble on things. You say I'm employed. No, now we know what employment means. Some of these strategies are meant to deceive us, so that it looks good on paper. When I was looking at the national news yesterday and I saw a little above 5% unemployment, I was amused. I laughed my head off. I said, this scam is not fair to the rest of us. This is a case of you can't fool all the people all the time. So it's not proper for this kind of confusing and deceptive method to be used to check unemployment. You see, factories are closing, foreign investors are pulling out, local investors are also withholding their funds. They don't know where the nation is going. Businesses are going under, both big businesses and small businesses. SMEs are not starting. I mean, you want to start a barbering salon, you don't have power from a public power supply, you don't have petrol, you can't even think about starting anything. So the unemployment rate is much worse than we are being told. In any case, somehow, I still applaud MBS for even giving us some of the data they give us in this country, because I wonder where they got the immunity from. Because sometimes when they release certain statistics, I wonder, so these guys are not going after them. But I think they understand that we need MBS to tell us, to be a mirror, to tell us this is where you are. However, on this issue of unemployment, I think we are not getting the real picture at all. And in any case, most of the researches they get to conduct, the results come out later. So if they are looking at, for instance, unemployment rate in February 2024, we're not going to get it in February, we're going to get it much later by the time they finish analysis and all of that. But I think the unemployment rate is much worse than what we are pretending that it is. And it's not good. We need to tell ourselves the truth, so that we can begin to fix our problems. If we lie to ourselves too, then that's what the worst kind of deception, when we engage in self-deception. We need to do something about unemployment. It's terrible.
All right. Something else we need to do, something on is food security. Now, last week on Thursday, before the president left for the AU summit, we saw he had a meeting with the NSA, the IGP, and the DG of the DSS to collaborate with state governors and make sure that they go after those people hoarding foodstuff. And since then, we've been seeing reports on food trucks that are supposed to be supposedly leaving the country into Niger Republic. All across. There was one found in Kano, one now in Zamfara State. At this point in time, just how important is it to find these trucks that are bound for other countries, and how exactly would it even affect the level of food insecurity in the country? Would it affect it in any way?
I think it's just about the optics. It's just about this feeling that we're doing something, because a few miserable trucks of food confiscated because they're taking food to neighboring countries will not change the narrative. We need a solution that will have a national impact. A few trucks of food going to Benin Republic won't change anything. I mean, how many people do you have in Benin Republic? Even all the food that they eat in Benin Republic will not help people in Lagos alone. So I think we need to begin to look at short-term measures and also medium-term and long-term measures. One of the things we must do is to look at security. Without security, you can't really talk of farming in Nigeria because of the nature of our farmlands. The states where the farmlands, the real producers of food are residents, are the states that you also have a lot of insecurity. And then we have to talk about the technicalities of producing food in large quantity. If you look at the yield per hectare, Nigeria is one of the poorest in the world. I mean, our yield per hectare of almost every crop is way behind the global standard. So it's not just about cultivating more hectares. It's also about improving conditions, seedlings and other inputs so that we have more yield per hectare. So there are so many things they should be thinking about: short-term, medium-term, long-term. But this issue of just pursuing things that will make us feel good, though they have caught one truck, then they have this habit of showing us things on television or announcing things on radio to make us feel good temporarily. That won't cut it. It's not about arresting trucks that are sending food to it. Yeah, I think we need to do things that are more fundamental, not just arresting trucks here and there.
All right.
Anyway, thank you so much, Mr. Larry, for joining us this morning. It's been an awesome time having this conversation with you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure and privilege to be part of this conversation.
All right, we've got a guest coming in, to interview in just a moment. Do stay tuned. Keep it locked on Front Page Review right here. Today's